I created in my head and on a form here, a XY axis. Okay, and I'm kind of working through this myself. I hope you'll appreciate how to assess financial requests. Okay, and this is I think the x-axis, right?
That's the
Don't quote me.
y-axis.
Oh,
It's
that's
the
the y-axis.
y-axis.
Okay, well, there you go. So the y1 is the one that's standing up. Very good.
Right.
Um, okay, right in the middle of the y-axis is the requested information or document relevant? Is it related to the court case at all, or to
Right.
the claims within it? That's right in the middle of this, okay?
Right.
Which means that at the top is not relevant. That's not the question. At the top is probative.
Right.
And probative means it's really important. It's
Oh.
like determinative to the
Mm.
issue.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to give you an example. Okay. This is a little archaic, but I'm just going to, not archaic, like a very specific example. You know, we were talking before about inheritances and excluded property. Well, the income that is on an inheritance is not necessarily excluded unless there's a piece of paper that says that it's excluded.
Right.
Okay? Usually in an inheritance, there's a will, and the will has, certainly in Ontario, default wording in the back, or that, boilerplate wording that says the principal and the interest of any inheritance will be excluded property.
Mhm.
Now, there was no need to say the principal, because that's already excluded just by getting it from a third party, but the income actually has to be stated, okay?
Mm.
So if the other side is asking you for a copy of the will,
Mhm.
well, that is very probative to the issue of how much can be excluded, right? It's not just relevant, it's necessary, okay? So, and then obviously on the other extreme is something that is completely irrelevant,
Right.
right? And I don't even want to get into like stupid requests that people do make.
Right.
But that's the spread here, okay? And relevancy is right in the middle. And what we're going to see very soon is that relevancy is actually a circle. It's not so simple, okay?
Oh.
It's not a bright line. Okay, and here is the line, the other axis.
Mhm.
And as we were talking earlier, something that's easy to obtain and something that's hard to obtain.
Mm.
Okay, so let's just quickly go to the extremes, because I think through the extremes we'll be then able to go into the middle here.
Mhm.
Okay, something that is probative and easy to obtain is let's say a tax return or a notice of assessment.
Right.
Okay, easy.
Mhm.
Or a pay stub. Something that is easy to obtain and irrelevant is
Yeah, no, continue.
I had all these um you know uh, your bill to a recent restaurant.
Yeah.
Okay, and so
Yes.
that is easy to obtain, and maybe you even got it emailed to you, right?
Yes.
But really, what's the relevancy of it?
Right. Right. Okay.
Okay, and sure, budgets are like a budget, and the part two expenses of the financial statement, there is a place for meals outside of the home, okay, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's relevant to your case if there's only child support, just as an example, right?
Mhm.
Okay, then we have something that's very important but hard to obtain. Okay, the very good example of that are date of marriage documents, because those are long gone, right?
Mhm.
Um, and then hard to obtain and irrelevant. Anyway, people might ask for bank statements around the date of marriage, okay? Sometimes even around the date of separation, that not necessarily are relevant to the claims if there's no claim that there was any nefariousness or movement of money or anything around the date of separation. So if something's hard to obtain and irrelevant, then obviously it doesn't have that's going to be, you're not going to be asked to order to get that. Okay,
Mhm.
and so
Mhm.
now you can start to see that there are some things that are for sure going to be asked of you,
Yeah.
And the things that are probative but hard to obtain, well, maybe the answer is not to not provide it, but maybe the answer is to give you more time to provide it,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
And the to obtain but irrelevant is a good example of something that maybe you'll give part of what is being asked for and not all of it. Okay.
Mhm.
And the reason why I'm starting to say like how you're going to start responding to this is because you're going to get stuff that is near the line of relevancy and irrelevancy.
Mm.
Okay. And usually this comes in line with either obvious documents, um, that the information has already been provided in another way and you're asking for the same information in another document, such as T4s when you
Mhm.
already have the right. But I'm just giving examples here. Um, and, and the other ones are like let's talk very quickly about a Equifax report. Okay, I mean,
Okay.
listen, there's no law that says you have to provide your Equifax report, right? Like your credit report.
Yeah.
So the really question is, well, like, how is that relevant, right? And how probative is it to it? So let me give you an example where it is very, very probative. Let's say you have somebody who says they have no bank accounts. They have literally no bank accounts, okay? Or they have one bank account, but they're living a lifestyle that is not reflected on the comings and goings of their bank account,
Mhm.
right? And so it may be very relevant and maybe even probative to find out what other accounts are listed on this credit report. That maybe they're
Mm.
hiding accounts. Okay, so this is a good way of starting to think of where are each of these questions landing. Which quadrant are they landing? Because if something is going to be probative,
Mhm.
right, and above relevant, then the likelihood is that you should provide it. And if you can't provide it now, figure out when you're going to provide it. Okay. And then the closer, certainly when you're going into irrelevancy, there are times where you want to provide it if it's easy to obtain, because you want to say, listen, I'm an open book. You want to ask for stupid stuff, I'll give you stupid stuff. Have
Mm.
pay your lawyer to review my credit card statements. Have a nice day. You'll see all the Timmies I buy.
Mm.
Okay.
I see.
So that's the quadrant over here. And then there's the hard to obtain and irrelevant, where you're starting to talk about bank statements, 4 or 5 years ago, which like justify that. Like, why are we even talking about that? And the problem is that this circle, and it's not a perfect circle,
Mm.
is wide, and people do argue over this. It's a
Mm.
problem, and I would tell you you are in a good spot if you are arguing over something, as opposed to just ignoring it. Okay, better to
Mm.
argue than to ignore.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay, as long as you're justifying it within these confines here of easy to obtain, hard to obtain, irrelevant, probative, that all of those things.